Hello, sports card family. Let me bring the background music down a little bit. I actually thought that was an SCR special, that they had put these beats together themselves, but recently found it on the StreamYard. So here we are. I'm actually under the weather today, friends, so we're going to do it a little bit differently. I'm taking my face off, and we're just going to do the share screen thingy-mabobber like my buddy Neo does here pretty much every day. We're going to try that out today and see how it goes. So big thanks to channel partners, Hakes Auctions. We got the March Premier auction that's going on, the big March auction over at Hakes. Definitely check it out. Some unbelievable vintage cards, as well as just all the other stuff. The graded comic books, the graded action figures, all of the beautiful things. So make sure to check out Hakes. Also, don't forget SGC. $15 a card to grade. I like the fact that it includes the auto grade for pack pulled autos. They just do it all for that same price of $15. No add-ons, no clubs to join, no declared values for modern cards. It's a good little deal. No minimums, no minimum card. So SGC at $15 a card, TCG at $9 a card. All right, let's get started. So today's topic for high-end cards. For the high-end card sellers, are they looking for the end collector? I hear this all the time, and we talk about it as well. Man, we need to find the end collector. Or are they looking for the market manipulator? Now, if we're talking about manipulator, there, of course, is a negative connotation.
School's closed. It's a holiday, you dumbasses. Whoa.
To those words, and for good reason. Nobody wants to be manipulated. It's just seen as bad. You don't want to manipulate a situation. It is got a negative connotation for a reason. But in collectibles, is it different? Is it different in the collectible space? It's actually fairly normal, if we think about it, for somebody to try to corner the market on a particular card to be able to dictate price. That's not highly unusual at all. And it also happens with sealed product and boxes as well. Sometimes with individuals that are also companies, like our boy Rudy at Alpha Investments, where he's just got stacks and stacks of product. And so that product is not hitting the market anytime soon. And so what happens? It's scarce to find it, pushes the price up on that sort of thing, because you've got huge bag holders. Again, bag holder has got negative connotation, but really it's just holders. You got just long time holders that are just stacking supply, and so there's just not that much out there on the market. But it's out there, it's just not on the market. Distributors do this. We've seen this with distributors as well, where they release a product, of course, but they're holding back a lot of blaster boxes, a lot of hobby boxes, and then all of a sudden we see spurts of it come out once it's at a higher price. Distributors have done this over the years as well. Happens all the time in trading cards, as well as just the collectible space as a whole. I had an IG account reach out to me maybe 6-7 months back. He told me that he had 7 figures in rare Jordan cards. 7 figures. So that could be 1 million, that could be 9 million. He's got 7 figures in rare Jordan cards. And he told me that he would buy anything that came available. And so would you classify this person as a massive Jordan collector? Or is this someone that wants to control pricing for rare cards by holding all of the rare supply? Is it a game for some people? Maybe they've got 9 figures. Maybe they got a 9 or 10 figure bank account. And they're like, you know what? I can drop a few $1 million and really kind of own a good chunk of a player's good cards, the most rare stuff. I think it probably happens more than we think it does. And I thought that was really interesting, because he just didn't shy away from it. Just said, hey, look, I want to control the amount of supply that's out there. And so this is perfectly fine within collectibles. Some would say maybe this is ethically wrong. Is it ethically wrong or nefarious? Well, one thing that we also have to keep in mind is the risk, the opportunity cost of going this route. Right now, we live in a world currently, in the U.S. anyway, where 7 figures in a money market account is bringing you about 5%, maybe more, depending. With a click of a button, with little to no risk. That's wild. I mean, we haven't seen that in 15, 20 years. They've been really holding rates down for a long period of time. And so really, it's been a decade plus, almost 2 decades, the last time that we saw this. And so I think this is really interesting. And then, of course, the risk is, what happens if demand subsides for these rare cards? We were talking about Jordan specifically, but couldn't this be said for any player? And many would say, like, oh man, buddy, this Jordan stuff is never going to go down. Okay, that's fine. Well, never say never. Never say never. Just because PMGs are selling at X, Y today, whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean that tomorrow it'll be that way. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. A lot of the legends, their prices have moved up dramatically over the last 5 years. Dramatically. So could there be some additional pullback on the more rare stuff? Well, not if you've got people that are holding all the supply here. If you've got a handful of people, if there's a dozen accounts, a dozen people, a dozen different folks that are holding a lot of the big Jordan cards, we'll use this as an example, just Jordan, that use any player you want. It's interesting to think about, right? I saw a post on the internet. A guy shared he had put $30,000 that he had into Mac Jones cards that, of course, taken a hit since he's purchased them. Mac Jones now the backup to T-Law in Jacksonville. But if you think back, 30 years ago, it was tough to spend $30K speculating on Greg Jeffries or Harold Miner, baby Jordan rookies, because there were no 5-figure or 6-figure RPAs. There weren't even 4-figure cards for these guys. Nowadays, you can drop 30 grand in a weekend. I know this is kind of a side tangent, but I think it just speaks to the amount of money that still flows in cardboard today. And I think that we just have to kind of think about, liquidity right now still strong for cards. I know people say, oh, these aren't liquid. For certain cards, they certainly are. You might not get the price that you want, but you throw a wanted card on auction, it will sell. It will certainly sell. And so going back to the high end kind of the sellers, we are seeing a lot of cards. I'm not talking about necessarily the cards that we see all the time that are, buying and selling. I think that some of these folks are more pretenders in this market. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ones like, okay, this card hasn't been up for auction in 2 or 3 years. And, people that are buying these and holding that supply to be able to, at some point, maybe you bring one out, maybe you bring a couple out. It's kind of like this Mickey Mantle 52 Topps, the PSA 10. There's 3 copies of it. They never sell. So, of course, when one of them does sell, it will command a huge, huge premium. Well, what if you were the person that owned all 3 of these? You could essentially bring them out one at a time and make sure to kind of maximize obviously you wouldn't want to bring them all 3 out at the same time. And so it's kind of an interesting topic. On the high end, of course, we're talking about low end cards. This isn't really an issue. I'm talking about the more rare stuff, high end stuff, and deep pockets folks cornering the market and kind of keeping those prices up, since there's just very few sales that are being recorded. Are these folks collectors, or are they market manipulators? And again, is that even a bad thing? Anyway, guys, thanks very much for joining me here today. A little bit different of a show. I apologize. I hope that I get kind of feeling better here soon, but thanks very much for joining me. And we will go here. The $1 million question mark, the collectibles guru asked, $1 million black 1/1 Prism Wemby rookie card that is very off-centered, sitting in the 10 holder. I know everyone's gonna bark at me, but I don't know. That's taking some liberties on the centering with that one. All right, friends, have a great rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.